how you all doing? I'm Ricardo, the Cynical Critic, and welcome to RWBY Reviews, where I
nitpick, complain, and piddle on all that we love.
Well, maybe sometimes. But I also take a look at what is good, and last time we did get a pretty good episode that was filled with betrayals, expositions, and lootful situations. And allow me to clarify those with a little recap.
Previously on the peculiarly pronounced presentation, our family of booties stood before what must have been like 1% of the population of Menagerie, but no doubt the rest would see this on Dusttube, where they revealed to them all that Adam had done and would soon plan to do. However, another character revealed herself.
Not in the way I wanted.
Exclaiming that the Belladonnas were not to be trusted, as they were traitors to their own kind that would have us mate with the Muggles. She managed to escape, but not before shaking the faith of the Faunus. And they're not the only ones having a hard time believing unusual things, as Team Ranger,
Team Junior,
no one cares, finally meets little Oscar and are fascinated with him. Some more than others.
You're betraying your true love, Ruby.
But the headmaster assures them that while things look strange, they have more pressing matters to attend to. I doubt the jury would agree with that, but with Headmaster Leonardo failing to be a leader, so many huntsmen out defending the kingdom, and Oscar not exactly being a skilled fighter, there are few left who could defend the relics. Not to mention the old geezer has failed too many times and in too many lifetimes to stop Salem. But they may be able to this time if they can keep the magical MacGuffins away from her unmanicured grass. However, to do this, the four girls will need to be whipped into shape, and they don't have much time to do that. Another with limited time on her hands is Weiss, who after experiencing your average flight on United Airlines, found herself a prisoner of the Bronwyn gang. The high and mighty heiress tried to hide behind her big sister again by threatening the wrath of the ice bitch upon the bunch, which is no laughing matter, but the rest laugh all the same as the winter was recalled back to Atlas. It seems that the Ice Queen is all alone, but this monarch is never without a soldier. Which, to be honest, is more like a toy soldier, but I guess beggars can't be choosers.
Because we know, no matter what, this little birdie is not going to be caged again. So let's jump into today's video and see what happens. Come on, roll the clip.
Yes, we all know who made this. Skip. So we're back with, wait, where the hell are we? Oh shit, that's right. Yang still exists.
Sorry, I forgot about you, sweetheart.
あなたは私の先輩ではないです。
Mataku Sonotori.
Well, Yang is still riding with Mr. Flubberbutt here, who informs her that they have reached their goal, and he's just going to run ahead to, check things out and in no way turn on her. To which even Yang knows that's bullshit. And she turns out to be correct, as he returns with his posse to inform Mrs. Just Right that he wasn't lying, as the camp is indeed that way.
That way.
Yes.
Good to know.
Get her!
And as you might expect, Yang begins to lay the smackdown on all these fools who want to be pitied. And the fight is both boring and predictable. And after said fight and another arm twitch, Yang informs the bunch that if they're done, she really needs to have a word with her mommy, Raven.
I'm dead.
Well, at least he has the decency to say it before he does it. Unlike some people.
Hey, there's only two reasons I open the laptop for. Pawning noobs or looting lollies. You flip that coin or leave the room. Preferably the latter.
Back with the plot, we see the children having a little scuffle, and this being a woman show, the boy gets laid on his ass.
Yes! I did it!
Why did you pause the episode?
Zoom in and enhance. Zoom in and enhance.
No,
No, wait.
no, we're not doing that.
There. Zoom in. I can almost see it.
Anyways, back in the show, as Ozpin tags in, Ruby doesn't fare so well.
Ouch.
The next time you want to throw a left cross, remember to push off with the appropriate foot.
Hey, are you okay?
How is this so exhausting?
Your body isn't used to this kind of training, not to mention generating a defensive aura on your own. In time, it will become second nature, allowing you to deflect attacks and gradually heal your wounds. After that, you can begin focusing on your semblance, whatever that may be.
Semblance.
Yeah, as Nora explains, it's basically superpowers, and while Johnny Boy still sucks, at least he isn't alone now. Ozpin reminds them all that while they still have a long road ahead, they can all reach the finish line if they keep pushing their limits and keep moving forward.
Then let's get back to it.
Okay, enough of the plot. Back with Waifu-chan as the three amigos lead her into the camp, where the distraction gives Weiss the chance she's been waiting for.
Mom. Yang.
Family reunion, yay!
Yeah, as much as Raven tries to pretend that all is swimmingly between her and her maybe baby, Yang explains that, surprisingly, she's not there for her. Instead, thanks to Captain Virile, she knows that Raven's semblance allows her to link with people and create portals to and away from them. And one such person she's done this with has been her brother. And since Crow told Yang that he would be watching over the little Rose, one-way ticket to RWBY, please. However, Raven informs her that it's foolish to get wrapped up in Ozpin's war. But Yang's not about to abandon her child like Raven did with hers, and demands to be sent to RWBY. Her disrespect begins to aggravate Raven's followers, but I guess Raven never told them about Yang's temper.
Yang?
Weiss?
RWBY!
RWBY?
Yang! Wait! Stop! Ah, Penny!
Neptune!
Mira! Nora!
Well, since her cover's blown, Weiss decides to wreck shop.
What is that? Don't worry. Well, that's my mom, and she could take us to RWBY.
Your mom kidnapped me? You kidnapped her?
But before things get out of hand, a lightning strike puts an end to the fight before it can begin.
Thank you. If you people don't keep it together, this place will be crawling with Grimm. Give the girl her weapon back. You two, in my tent. Now. If you're really going after your sister, then you need to know the truth.
And with that...
Sorry about...
I missed you so much.
I missed you too.
God damn it, that was a beautiful way to end the episode, wasn't it, Lakanan?
Yep.
You're not gonna say it?
I keep telling you that the yellow snow ship will never sail. For obvious reasons.
Yeah, that name is kinda bad.
The bumblebee is too strong. And White Rose forever.
Anyways, guys, yep, that was an excellent episode, both in character growth and in plot. Which makes me kind of wonder why people thought that this volume was bad, as it's had a better start than even Volume 3.
Well, Monty did decide to peace out from this ball of dirt, so everyone was a little upset while working on it. But since we're on the subject, there was one thing that season did get right, even when it was getting it wrong, that this episode just utterly failed at. The fighting. Because I'm not gonna lie, while I really don't care one way or another about the combat all that much, as it's the characters in the story that will stick with you, if you set out to have combat in your show, you better give us some good scenes. Sadly, that didn't happen here. Not only did we only get one fight, and the other being a fake out, and not only was that one done pretty badly, it was a fight with Yang. Since her first appearance, Yang has almost always had amazing fights. I did say almost. They were fast, impactful, full of wonderful shots and cinematography, beautifully executed, amazing choreography, and had some sick tunes to boot.
And who doesn't love them some sick beats by Williams?
However, here we had none of that, which is one of the reasons why, as the show went on without him, people kept insisting, with good reason, that Rooster Teeth couldn't do fights anymore and needed to find someone to replace Monty. There are people out there that show promise, but instead of Rooster Teeth seeking them out and pushing them to their limits, they instead blow their money on unnecessary voice actors, leaving us with fights like this. The pacing was slow, which left us able to predict with boring certainty what was going to happen next. The camera work was simplistic, so that any impact that was felt was dampened as things went by the books. And the music wasn't as over the top, nor in sync with the action, leaving a basic and bland feeling to the events.
Kinda like your reviews.
And again, this is Yang! It's supposed to be over the top and dumb, because it didn't matter. She enjoyed the fight, meaning that we enjoyed the fight. However, ever since her personality change, she has been less and less enjoyable as a character. Now, that is to be expected considering what she lost and what she had to go through. But as I explained this in the last season, that since they didn't give her enough time to come to terms with what happened, and more importantly, show us those quiet, heartbreaking scenes, it leaves her transformation jarring, out of place, and out of character. Which leads us here. And now it really isn't the writers who are suffering the consequences, but the audience. Not having seen her slow progression, we are left disconnected from the character that we felt such a connection to. Though, as I just said, that's what RWBY has always been about. And while Yang's beginning to this episode felt a little off and poorly performed, things did get better in terms of character and plot as the episode progressed. In fact, since the few words here and there in the beginning of the volume, here we actually started to get some substantial hints to what may be going on in the plot.
But I'll save the best for the conclusions. Let's first take a look at that brief but insightful scene of Ruby and the gang.
The first subtle thing is what having the inexperienced Oscar means to RWBY. As while Ozpin is there to assist them all, RWBY seems to be in another instance of leadership. Before, she was there to act as a self-reflecting aspect to Weiss, a personal inspirer for the blonde boy wonder, the sole inspiration for the nuts and bolts ship, the mopey reason to Yang to talk to Blake, an encouraging figure to keep moving forward, the leader of the revolution, and then her continual part played as the cornerstone to Team Ranger.
Team Junior.
No one cares. And now that seems to be happening once again, with RWBY having to help Oscar understand his role as a protagonist, even though she herself never really had that. It's again another thing that makes her such a unique and interesting protagonist, as the story doesn't revolve around her, though she still intervenes to help those in need. And the relationship between the weathered and ready RWBY building up the confused and uncertain Oscar is an adorably cute one.
It will never happen!
Oh, for God's sake.
White Rose forever!
Anyways, the entire scene was quite a nostalgic one, as it felt very reminiscent of the old days when they were just kids back in school. The calm, the casual jokes, the encouragement, and the occasional reveals of their past. It all fits nicely with the training of a new hero. And learning how each managed to acquire their semblance is not only a nice way to get them to casually open up to each other, but to also show how exposition can be done right. Usually having a character reveal something that everyone should already know, and even if there are those that don't, having someone practically sit you down to explain it all, like there's some overly dramatic D&D master, often leads to the story coming to a screeching halt, and the audience falling asleep like they're back in class with Mr. Becker droning on again about the fascinating history of the thief sponge. However, having the right character do it in the right setting can make it all feel... What was it again, Yang?
Just right.
God, girls even done making puns. You will pay dearly for this, Adam. And the scriptwriters too.
Yeah, color me surprised and slather my face with dumbfounded. But Ren's silky smooth voice paired with a somber tune is more than enough to get us to forget for a second that we already know everything that he's explaining. It's like having John Hurt or Sam Elliott or Morgan Freeman or Patrick Stewart narrate. They've just got such an amazing voice, they can exposition dump on me any day.
Ugh, gross.
And the same can be said here with Neith Ohm. While sadly it doesn't seem like he too got hit with the action gene, at least he has the same beautiful voice as his late brother. It's just another wonderful part of the scene that adds to the greatness of this episode.
Now that we're more or less done breaking down that scene, let's turn our attention to Yang and her mother Raven. Because there's certainly a lot to break down there. In more than one way.
First is that it turns out that Yang was going after RWBY all along. While this is a mild disappointment, as we not only wanted to see her confront her mother for leaving, but it also sort of doesn't make much sense story-wise. I mean, why didn't she just go to Mistral, as that's where RWBY did say that she was going. And she did inform her big sis that she had finally made it. Well, if you were paying attention to that scene, which if not, it's understandable, crying in the fetal position would make that kind of hard. But RWBY did say that she wasn't sure if Yang was even getting her letters, as the post office wasn't exactly reliable at the time. nor has the federal post office ever been reliable. And while she did leave a note for her father, Mistral has gotta be huge. And considering how small Shorty McTorty is, it would be like trying to find Carrie at a convention.
Well, she could always just bake some cookies and set a trap.
However, we did get some interesting moments between her and Raven. First is how the two speak to each other, which not only allows us to see where Yang got her spirited attitude from, but also that Raven may have been in her life long enough for her to understand her mother's personality. They speak to each other as if they knew one another. And while that may have been because she was supposed to be in Volume 3, until Miles and Carrie fucked up again, the presentation here is done nicely enough so that we really don't care. For we have a more interesting insight into our little birdie here through her semblance. Firstly, let's remember here that one's semblance is a reflection of their soul or personality. And whether it's the latter that influences the ability, or vice versa, it doesn't change the fact that it's quite ironic that someone who has done so much to get away from the people she knows has the ability to immediately go to them. Not just that, but it seems that it's more based on the fact that she makes connections to others. True, this seems slightly at odds to how we saw her the last 2 times, but again, she may be able to porter herself anywhere, and it's just Ty who doesn't understand this. Either way, like I mentioned, the more interesting thing is why. Why, if she had the power to see her friends and family, would she flee from them?
She's done having kids.
Like back with her talk with Crow, there seems to be something bigger going on. Something that had happened in the past that has caused Raven to mistrust Ozpin. The man himself did say that he had made many mistakes. Was one of them the reason why Raven now finds herself so far from her family? Did the old headmaster do or say something that caused Raven to abandon her home and child and live in the wilderness? Again, Anna Holland has really only worked on various things at Rooster Teeth, probably because her husband roped her into it. But she nails it with Raven. She so easily conveys that sense of superiority and strength that a leader like her would need. And that's not to mention that she sounds remarkably like Barbara, adding to the family connection that is already evident from their faces and that whole eye thing.
One final connection I'd like to take a look at is between 2 characters that, up to this point, really haven't had any real interaction with each other. And yet, their love for each other is still very believable.
I think I can count the number of times these two have directly interacted with each other on a single hand. And yet, this simple embrace reveals the history and love that they have for each other. And I don't mean the kind of love that the fans out there like to believe in, mainly because they'll never have it themselves, but the love that only true friendship can bring about. The love like sisterhood. I believe it was Monty himself that first said that the group was basically a team of sisters. Probably an attempt to exclude the romance, thank God. For it would mean that we would only need to focus on the kinship, leaving us to get scenes like this and not have to worry about if they're going to smooch or not.
He does not speak for me. I do not support the ship, but I will always support the kiss. Both the action and the band.
Sorry to get off on a tangent, but because of that idea, these scenes hold a whole new meaning. To Ruby and Yang, it's nothing new, as they were so close to begin with. But to Weiss and Blake, this is something that brings new light into their lives. To Blake, who never had siblings except those in the White Fang. And to Weiss, whose siblings were either too cold or too heartless.
Kinda hard to tell which is which with a statement like that. Which is why I go by cup size.
This is why so many fell in love with this team. Even when they didn't build enough screen time with each pair, we still believe the love and friendship that they share. And this single hug, paired with Barbara and Kara's heart-filled lines of longing, is simply beautiful.
So, yeah, I'm not sure why people call this volume the worst. Well, sure, the fighting is nowhere near what we're used to, and there have been a few issues here and there. The character interactions have been getting better and better.
Maybe it's just the old issue that popular things will always be held to a higher standard. Or that it being the 5th season, so many expected too much from writers who've never really worked on any major project before.
Well, you know, a broken record.
And true, there is still 3/4 of the season left, so it may very well change for the worse before the end. I'll just have to keep watching to find out.
And as for you guys, thank you all for watching. If you want to see more of these, just subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment telling me what you thought. I'm Ricardo, the Cynical Critic. With me, no movie's sacred, no videos safe, but all deserve a chance. I'll catch you guys next time. Toodles!
You get mugged, kid.
No, you're getting mugged.
How the hell does that even work?